Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. I'm good.
Welcome, Nez, and welcome everybody else. It's great to have this live, and also, important to say that we are resuming after a 2 week break. I mean, which was sort of happened organically, and each live is special to us. Okay, and of course, many times. The speakers on the live, like Nez today, also feel very special because, sometimes it's their first live, sometimes they're doing after long or whatever. And we have some regular followers, regular participants, people who are new, some people who will join later. So again, very delighted welcoming you all. And each time we try to keep it different in a way, because as intersectional queers, we are extremely diverse, whichever part of the universe we are from. All right. And um, we have also learned over a period about, uh, whom we want to invite and how, see, broadly it's intersectional queers, but also about people, who are quietly doing various things, and also, and importantly, who are very comfortable being open about so many things, because that is what we want to inform and others about, like whether they watch it now or later. Nez, I want to tell you, many times for a few weeks and sometimes months later also, periodically people will watch, and then all that will happen. And with due respects, we do not necessarily either focus on this whole celebrity queers, or it'd be nice if people become celebrities. That's fine, we respect and admire them. But anyway, it's also that many times people get inspired to be out or open about themselves. So that's the thing. Without further ado, I would again like to heartily welcome Dr. Christianes Ratnakirpa. I've been calling her Nez, and then we have slowly started becoming friends, right? Because Nez, or Dr. Nez, so many unique things, like she's pansexual, understanding her sexuality, and also has done a post graduation, that is MD in internal medicine. And she's migrated right from almost the southern or south central Tamil Nadu to Assam. I think, considering the diversity of this country, that it's quite a different experience socio-culturally, I'm sure. And yeah. And the other thing which we have found, partly because me and one of the other founders of Rang, sorry, I didn't introduce myself, I'm Ritash. Okay, one of the co-founders of Rang, an intersectional unfunded grassroots queer collective. Okay, I'm neuroqueer, I'm ace, panromantic, gender fluid, I have invisible disabilities. But anyway, most important is, through these lives, we are hoping, and, not only that people watch them, understand and connect, but if they want any kind of online or offline support, we hope that, like Rang, they can approach even the people who are, speaking. Okay. And without doubt, I know this is long, Dr. Nez, sorry for taking this time, but I just wanted to also say that we know, and that is some part of what Nez and I are going to talk about in the next hour or so, that healthcare, unfortunately, has been not just discriminatory is an understatement, so pathologizing. Worldwide, we find the same thing. Actually, that is the commonality that we find, It is just unbelievable. It is mind boggling and, most importantly, tragic, and in a way also outrageous, that the people who are trained and who take that oath, what is it that stops them from first seeing you as another human being, right? Maybe this is a good point to bring you in, is right. And I hope I have introduced you correctly and satisfactorily. Otherwise, if you want to say something more, and along the way there's going to be a freewheeling chat. Okay. Yeah.
Um, Hello, thank you so much for having me here. I'm Christianis. You can call me Nes. I am an internal medicine physician. On top of that, I'm also a health writer, a freelance health writer, and with a focus on gender and queer issues. And as far as being a queer person is concerned, like I'm pansexual, which I realized very recently. Up until then, I used to identify myself as bisexual. Um, Up until this September, I used to identify as a bisexual person, and I have been out for only about a year, which means that not, ac- I have not actually been involved in any queer activities or with any queer communities. Once I came out, I started sort of looking for people to connect to for people to talk to, and um, for validating my experiences as well as understanding their experiences. Only when that started happening is when, as a healthcare professional and as a queer person, I started looking at healthcare as a queer person and queer issues as a doctor. So in that sense, I started noticing how discriminatory healthcare is for queer people. When I was a medical student, for example, we had being queer was classified as a paraphilia or as a mental illness. And that was when I was, I guess, in second year, and I was kind of coming to terms with my own sexuality and having to read about yourself in the context of a mental illness, when it's especially it's really difficult um to come to terms with oneself, and then, like, you go through this whole thing of, am I broken, am I normal, what's going wrong here, that kind of thing. And so eventually somebody did talk about it, and that got changed, and then again the syllabus is revised now and all that. But it starts from there. Like, even say, we talk about medical education, and medical education is just so heteronormative, and so straight people coded, and it's designed to serve straight people. And even queer people who go through the system come out feeling like, something's wrong with them right from the start. And then you realize, like, as I went through practice, I realized that not many queer people access healthcare. Like, I have seen only one trans woman in my entire life in an emergency department where I worked. She had come in with being unable to move her upper limb and lower limb. She had a stroke, and I saw that. After I just checked her and then I was writing my notes, I saw one of the nurses just comment saying, "Why do these people come here and burden us like this?" And I was just so shocked. If it was a cisgender straight person, nobody was going to say that about them. Like, their access to healthcare is guaranteed. But Then I thought back, ki I have been in healthcare for 10 years, and if this is the only transgender person I've seen, then there's something wrong, right? Like everybody gets colds and fevers and coughs and whatnot. So where are they going to for all these issues? So after that is when I started reading up about this and then contacting queer groups. So then I got into in touch with Sangat, and they're based off of Bhopal. And one of my friends, Dr. Hari Kirtan, he's a senior from my college. He's there, and then they had released a study about barriers to transgender access to healthcare, and that just shows so much discrimination. Even if, say, the doctor is queer friendly, and then how do you know a doctor is queer friendly? First of all, like it's just hearsay. Maybe they will advertise themselves as queer friendly, sure. So even if that doctor is queer friendly, you cannot assure that the security guard in front of that hospital isn't going to be accepting or nice or whatever. They might be like, mean or rude, or they might be discriminatory. And so the system needs to change, and the system needs to change inside out. And it's not just, say, doctors, because so many stakeholders in healthcare, and they're all equally important, and they're all coming from various backgrounds whatsoever. And the thing is, even doctors or even medical education is not queer friendly. So then you would think about like how for allied health services, what kind of education they're getting. Do they get sensitization courses, all of that? So yeah. And when I read that study, and when I read that like such less queer people get access to healthcare, and healthcare is one of our basic rights, right? Like right to education and whatever. Healthcare is like one of the basic rights. And when I realized not many queer people have access to this, I told Hariketan that there is very few things that after you read it, you want to just fall to your knees and cry and just not stop crying. And this felt like one of those things. Like, even now when I hear about things like only 10% of the transgender community have gotten COVID vaccines. And India is, as a country, we conducted the biggest vaccination drive. We pushed everybody to get vaccinated, and it still did not translate into good access um, for the trans community, which is really, really sad. Um, so, like, even things that are granted for everybody is still not accessible to our communities, and that is very, very painful to know. And um, in a way, it's important to feel this pain and feel this discomfort, because only from there does change occur, I guess. And yeah, so that is one of the reasons why I feel queer representation in healthcare is of the utmost importance, because there are, yeah, it's queer people are sorely lacking in terms of, yeah.
Right. An important point. And as you say, it's like, I mean, that study I've heard of, I don't recall reading it much, but I can completely visualize and relate and, sort of know what is there. But I've also been writing a lot, and, we visualized from almost last year we were doing a little bit of close group meetings and stuff earlier. But nevertheless, you know, as you say, because like it feels like a part of you has suffered, right? Not only because you're in healthcare. I am a peer counselor, yeah, trained, and I've been doing, and that actually, I'm 51. Yes, despite all my privileges, it took me like until I was in my mid 30s to even know some basic terminology in whichever language. Despite, we know that we have indigenous, queer, subqueer cultures, subcultures, very local, sometimes almost across India. Why India? That we have to be borderless in this, because so many things about India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka are more common, and I mean, to some extent, even perhaps, Myanmar and all that, right? And oh, sorry, Bhutan, whatever, the ones broadly which are the subcontinent. But, I don't tire of mentioning this in every live or any other conversation that I've had, because sometimes it's different listeners. And that is the thing, what, like you said, it's a fundamental right and need healthcare, in whichever generation. I mean, my mother is turning 3 weeks. Okay, at that time only, largely, I think Ayurveda, naturopathy, home remedies were available. She came from a very small town or a semi-rural town in Andhra. And for all that, they came from, yes, they were economically fairly backward, but they were at least aware, and they studied and all that. Right. And certain things have not changed over so many decades. Okay. And yeah, but uh, what can and should have changed is this whole thing about, uh, you know, discrimination, bias. Okay. Uh, and if, just to reiterate what I'm saying, if in healthcare, in the basic services, right? It's a service, it's a need, it's a right. If people are going to be so, taking the negative parts of them inside, and also just denying somebody something like this, it is not a wonder, and it's actually a shame, and it is extremely painful, because more so as a queer person, as an intersectional queer person, you feel, why is one more of my community member, right, being denied? I mean, if that person came with a stroke, right, as you said, if it was a cisgender person, okay, and the people would have been running helter skelter, right? However small or big that hospital is, however crowded, however busy, right? I mean, stroke is not at all an ordinary thing, right? And this is, you know, and this is all like a cycle, right? I mean, like, I recognize some of the names of the people who, especially who've been chatting here today. We all regularly converse, okay? And we have people, Nez, you're going to be world famous sooner than later, right? We have people from, don't worry at all. We have people from Canada here. I can recognize people from the US. Some of them are, counselors themselves, social workers, and doing their better than their best with all their other thing, work, that to again reach out, because whether, you are so young as you, or so old as me, whether, you are in Assam, or, as I just said, different parts of, again, big metros. Like, I think New York, as Ajay had put it. Ajay, I hope you don't mind this. They are a young trans person in NYC. And if over there, if in Canada, where we have Taiwai joining, which I was shocked out of my wits just through recent conversations with them, that there is very little difference with the way all of us queer people are treated in any part of this world. And like I said earlier, and the damn pathologizing that is this, I'm using these technical terms. I'm daring to use this in front of you, a very qualified doctor, okay, right, and a very compassionate one, more importantly. And I'm not being judgmental. I'm just saying this with a lot of pride on your behalf also. That, oh my gosh, I mean, and every other specifically queer healthcare provider, or professional that I've spoken to, okay, first of all, we have to do a search, really search. Like, I still recall that, a person who's doing MD psychiatry, going to graduate in a couple of months, has told me that still, notwithstanding what NMC has been doing, the National Medical Council or Commission of India has doing lately, okay, they were like, the ICD, the International Classification of Diseases, the DSM, to just undo the word disorder, they're making a big fuss. Okay. I mean, they like, it's like, what are we? Are we some specimens from some other planet, or we just go and find another planet, right?
Yeah, it's painful to feel that way, and like, I mean, I guess but that is what the world makes you feel like. They do pathologize everything. I do agree with that, in the sense ki the medical community, fine, they have the most information, but they have the most, like, I guess they do have a lot of information on what being queer is, what being queer is like, but it's not very well disseminated among the medical community as well. But then the average straight person, and the way they look at you itself, is just kind of really weird. Like, if you are in a group of um friends, like, who are cis heteronormative friends, and then the way they would see maybe very obviously looking queer person is from this lens of like, okay, there is something wrong with them. And why that hurts me particularly is because I am invisible queer, I feel, in the sense that though I'm pansexual, or and the fact that I've been identifying as bisexual, I'm married to a gentleman, so I'm in a straight passing relationship, and I am not very obviously queer. The fact that my queerness is invisible, in a way, allows people to kind of be their full discriminatory selves around me. For that, I really wish I would have, I don't know, been more visibly queer. I don't know how that um I just wish I could just carry something that says, you know what, I'm queer, just like in a way, they just like let themselves be fully discriminatory, and while it's about somebody else, it'll still just feel like, okay, I'm also queer. Does that mean that if you know who I am, you would say the same thing about me?
True.
Kind of. And yeah, and then yes, the whole being not queer enough is also definitely a thing, especially for bisexual individuals and pansexual individuals in straight passing relationships. Like our like that side of you just never goes away, right? Like, I mean, you are still pan, but you've chosen to love a cis man, and but that does not change your sexuality in any way. But just getting that across to people kind of like is difficult. And this other weird thing is about how is like, I remember a very funny thing. I came out to somebody just in a group, like, I think like somebody in my husband's family, and then they just said something like, to like, then you should maybe not hang out too much with the sister-in-law, something like that. It was just so weird, because like, I'm already married, dude. I am not going to like, just as soon as I come out, it doesn't mean I'm going to be attracted to you. Like, that is something that a lot of um times I face also. Like my same gender friends just take a step back and be like, okay, you're not attracted to me, are you? And I'll be like, dude, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
If like somebody told a group of people I'm straight, it's not like the opposite gender people will suddenly be like, oh, you're straight, then are we still friends? Are you attracted to me? Like, they won't be like that, right? Like, then why are you doing that to me? It makes no sense. It's just
Yeah, yeah, it's like completely. I mean, part of me is getting emotional. I'm trying not to, because that's the thing. Now we all relate, and again, I'm thanking all the people who are giving such, because if they're just doing one step other than talking on audio or video, the comments which are coming are all straight from their lived experiences, and completely, that's the thing that we say, that's so common, and we wish it was uncommon, that I mean, what about you discomforts them, right? Discomforts anybody, right? And earlier I used to think, oh my gosh, aren't these transphobia, queerphobia, aphobia, are they two big, very strong words? But no, that is because people, the way they throw things at you, you are, actually it's coming from their phobia. And believe me, part of thing I think it's about, like, my sister who is cishet, uh, but very accepting and supportive, uh, was saying, and so many other queer friends have also said, it's their insecurity, okay, but we are not here to scare anybody, okay, or definitely not to hate anybody, because we took so long to love ourselves as we are, you know because let us tell you that this self love and self care are so ingrained, and many of us queer people unnecessarily self shame, self doubt, and many times we literally carry it almost through our lives, okay. Oh, why did somebody do something? The fact that you people cannot believe that what we are going through is not pretense, it is not aspiring to be something or someone. We are just being ourselves, and because things are like you said, na. Oh my gosh, you shouldn't be here. What a family, who are friends, is what we unfortunately have to keep questioning, and this is not our fault. Yeah, it is definitely not. But we also end up blaming ourselves or wondering if we are doing something wrong, when actually we are just being ourselves, and somebody is doing all this to you. You know, yeah, jinn or genie or something, whatever it is, unfortunately, a very negative one. And this is like beyond tragic. And, um, I don't want to get cliched, but certain things I will want to ask you again, for also others to kind of share and learn, and we, yeah. Um, Apart from all these things, which are even very painful experiences, okay. Now, I think Taiwai or someone said, it is not just about putting those emojis, right, and saying, "Oh, I'm queer friendly" or something, because sometimes you start doubting those people. What are you doing? Because have I been? Because again, my mind is unfortunately operating that way. I have been told that am I pretending? Because, like you said, no, what the hell is cis passing? What the hell is queer enough? You know what I
Mm,
mean? I mean, in the
mm.
from a straight lens, not from our lens. Okay, why are we forced to question ourselves all the time, shame and doubt, and it's not even questioning. We are doubting. Oh, like you said, na. See, figuring out whether you're bi or pan or something else or this or that, that is different. Okay, from should I be open or not? You know, I don't think, like you said, a girl, a woman, a man, it has to think twice, no?
Yeah. In the sense, I agree that there is a mental burden, definitely, and it's just like a lot of us go through it in different ways depending upon our identities, I guess. For me, I used to always believe that I got the safe end of the deal in terms of, like, become being in a cis passing relationship, matlab, like, straight passing relationship, sorry, being in a straight passing relationship was the better end of the deal. I'm in the sense that, like, I don't go through a lot of discrimination as other people with other queer identities do. But then I'll start having these conversations with other queer people, and then they will start pointing out these things. Hey, wasn't that discriminatory? Wasn't that discriminatory also? And then I'll just suddenly be like, okay, actually, these things happened. It's also this sense of, I guess, people think bi and pan people in straight passing relationships have like this one up on the one up in terms of like social privilege, but it's not the case. Actually, one of the things is like how when you tell people that you're bi or pan, straight women suddenly start to want to use you to experiment with their sexuality. It's crazy. It's just like you tell them that you're bi or pan, and then suddenly in a party they want to like get drunk and make out with you. And then you're like, okay, but like I have feelings too, you know, I don't want to be like used as your experiment. And the other thing, discriminatory lens with which I have been viewed is that of a whore, because they they say, oh, you're pansexual, you're bisexual, you can't settle for one gender, how will you settle for one person? And like somehow they just say, or you're confused, it's just a phase, decide on one identity, you're either gay or you're straight. There's like, yeah, um a lot of these things. And that made me realize that okay, sure, like I mean, I have gone through discrimination, and just because it doesn't make sense to a few people, even from the queer community, that does not mean that, you know, my experience is invalid. Like, everybody goes through different forms of discrimination depending on what identities they hold. And, you know, there was one time when you apply for scholarships and such that they ask you whether you're a part of the community. And then my husband was like, dude, you're married to a straight guy. Should you be applying for this scholarship? And then, you know, I was just like, okay, should I be? Am I a part of the community? Am I eligible for this? And then I was like, okay, no, fine. Like, I mean, yeah, it's a valid question, but I want to affirm my queer identity. I'm just going to go ahead and apply for these things.
So, right, I mean, it is again, you know what? This whole thing between choice and right is also very fine, okay? Because I think we have a right to make a choice. And we choose whether we want to exercise a right or not, na? Right. And why is it that unless you look a certain way or behave or talk or don't, only then, you know? Yes, sadly, there's lots of discrimination within the community, and it's so important. Again, among the, like, you know, we are all the ones which come after the T, right? I, A, P, and I'm also A and P, and like, how can you be so many things, right? I mean, you know, I can also be, if you want to, you can define me by my language or how I look and hair and all that. So obviously, all of us are many and much more, maybe, you know. And this whole thing about visibility and stuff, and you know, now again, why should our partner or a relationship define or not define us, right? Again, this is completely other. What if you did not reveal, you know, you have a partner even, and who that partner is not, it's right. And similarly, like whether our parent is accepting or not, or because it's convenient or necessary we live with it, why should all this matter? Right? And you know, like that's the thing I remember a few years ago, and repeatedly now I'm hearing it more, which is good. Like intersex people, trans people, you know. I mean, I'm also under the, I think all of us are under the queer trans umbrella. Uh, Say that, you know, because the binary ones or binary was known more, right? And like whether we like it or not, I think worldwide, trans women or, you know, more visible or, right? And, or dared to be visible, sorry, maybe. So it's like, oh, so then how are you? You are not like them. No, I'm like, yeah, I don't, not that I don't want to be because there's anything wrong or bad with them. I am myself and they are themselves. We don't have to be defined by them nor they by us, okay? And none of us are either asking for pathologization, nor are we asking for fetish, no, to someone to fetishize us, or sorry, I can never pronounce it. Yes, or to exoticize us, right? And like, oh my gosh, I've been told like, that is very, yeah, somebody was saying, I'm not fantasizing about me. I mean, it's not that I want someone to fantasize about me or not. Like, oh, you are ace, so there's something not fantastic. Yeah, oh, it seems like a fantasy, something like that. Okay, and yeah, and oh my gosh, and the thing is that unfortunately, um, sometimes people who, irrespective of their caste, class, background, and all that, sometimes you wish that the utopia that you were looking for, sometimes that, okay, the person belongs to an oppressed caste or something, so hopefully they will understand my thing. Oh no, you look privileged. Okay, this whole thing, yes, of course, I accept my privileges, but do you know how much discrimination I face regularly because of someone assuming I am something and I saying I am not that? And the first, oh, how come you are that? Oh, I did not know. And as you said, somewhere now, even in their, especially in their body language, they have not just become uncomfortable, almost you see something more than just discomfort. Discomfort is bad enough, right? But and like you say, then suddenly we become available, right? And sorry to use this word, but we become seem to be available for their experiments also.
Mm.
I mean, like, it is ridiculous, or these kind of things. Like, because I at one time thought I was lesbian, bi, pan, and all that for some reason I don't even know, like without attraction, but because I also did not understand those terms, I kind of, right. Then you say so the whole thing of judgment, the gamut of judgments that they pass, I think even a court will not pass so many judgments against one single person. Yeah, so I just want to bring.
Right. So there is discomfort which you definitely feel, and you're absolutely right when you say that you can sense it in body language, you can sense it in speech, you can sense it in the way their whatever attitude changes around you. But the worst part is, and I still believe, is that they are not aware that their discomfort in their individual whatever thing translates into a collective lack of access to basic amenities like employment, education, and healthcare, which should not be the case. You can be uncomfortable with a bunch of things. You can be uncomfortable with, say, I'm me wearing a perfume that you don't like, but that, and if that translates into me not getting access to meet a doctor, then that makes no sense, right? Like, we are all uncomfortable with each other for a lot of things as a diverse group of people. But if somebody being uncomfortable with some aspect of you is denying you basic rights, then I think those people deserve to be told that multiple times repeatedly, which doesn't happen. But anytime I feel like somebody would say, oh, I'm queer phobic, the first thing I want to ask them is, why do you want me to die? Because that is not what you may have meant when you thought I'm queer phobic. You might have thought ki seeing a gay or a trans person makes me uncomfortable. But you know what your discomfort translates into? It translates into me not getting vaccinated. So you need to answer to me why your discomfort is justified, or why um you feeling a little uncomfortable justifies the fact that I cannot get vaccinated. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so these are very heavy things, but their tiny actions have consequences, and somehow I feel like it's time that uh, we challenge the heteronormative culture by showing people exactly what it entails. Like, we can't keep protecting them, like or making excuses at this point, saying Okay, they have grown in a homophobic culture, they have not been educated, fine, like up until this point it's whatever. But if your biases are translating into real life or death consequences to other people, then you will be held accountable, and you should.
Yeah, I mean, we do not need to change or suppress ourselves because of someone's discomfort or even hate, right? Because, like you said, and I was also saying that their discomfort often comes with their insecurity, okay? And which they try to project, not only project on us, onto us, they blame us, okay, like we told them to be or not to be. I mean, in one way or the other, right? When most of the time we are just uh, leading our lives and being ourselves, trying our best to be ourselves, and because our discomfort comes from having to suppress, it doesn't come from, us uh, suppressing. Sorry, it doesn't come from us showing ourselves as we are or being ourselves. That is someone else's discomfort, which again gets, but and if we ignore that, also it's not like, nah? Right. And other thing is that, see, we know there are queer affirmative laws. I mean, when I say queer, the entire spectrum, right? Laws. The ground very different. And even if BSM, ICD, and all the bodies like WHO, Path, and ATI in India, ATI for the people who are here not from India, is Association of Transgender Health in India, and sorry, it is for, okay, yeah. Now, all these notwithstanding, okay, is it even, as you said, I think it is not just unfair, it is unethical and unprofessional. If, because people, either directly as healthcare providers or allied or first responders like myself, who was, a peer counselor, my responsibilities and roles are different. Right? Um, uh, I, I think we have no right bias to bring our biases into our work, right? It's, as I said, unethical, unprofessional. I think it's inhuman. Then we should not be practicing or consulting. Okay, right. In fact, though peer counselors are not able to go clear affirmative, this is not a judgment, but they are, there seems to be some limit to their affirmation. They're like, oh, we can't figure it out all. But will you take it the same thing if a person is, because they have got something rare, or for that matter, we know COVID was new and not even rare, it was just completely suddenly broke on everybody in the world, right? So you cannot blame a doctor to cure something, or even try to cure something for something they don't know. There's no medication, we don't even know what to give or what not to give, right? But a straight person, okay, and more importantly, the people who bring them whatever, was so, okay, will be so demanding towards the healthcare professionals, including nurses, whatever. You are not doing anything. What? Yeah, oh, this and that, right? But a queer person, many times, forget about being able to have these meltdowns and outbursts. We can't even go there, okay, and be assured that we will get, and this, despite, I'm repeating this, by despite my privileges, I've experienced discrimination, phobia, okay, from specific this thing, because even without me having to mention an ace, because a gynecologist, if has to do vaginal examination, will be so judgmental, okay, and suddenly me, who seems to be this confident, open person, just gets so withdrawn. And believe me, I'm not exaggerating. It has traumatized me forever. Okay, right? All my coping mechanisms, my extra training as a peer counselor, I am not able to overcome that despite my best. But because we know there is like, just like we are imperfect in so many ways, there is no 100% healing, right? For anything, especially with the mental health. So, I'm just wondering, like, is a fair question to ask, like, what is it that, uh, you know, with great healthcare providers, I think it cannot be just the lack of or the minimality of training or studies, right?
No, it is. And it's not the providers actually, like, blaming individuals for systemic failures is not fair also, considering I feel marriage equality and maybe integration of queer people into society go way more hand in hand. For example, like, see, people see straight couples everywhere, right? Like, if my husband and I want to go out and hold hands, we can hold hands. If we want to kiss, we kiss. And it's not a huge thing. Like, everybody, like, our heterosexuality, or whatever, my perceived heterosexuality is projected, protected, celebrated,
Right.
whatever. But we live in a culture where queer individuals have to hide, suppress, whatever. And, like, even queer children, they are not seeing queer role models. They're not seeing queer people being happy or together, or having their rights or whatever. And so basically, like, a complete restructuring of society, where at least in the first step, like, marriage equality must become a reality, because you cannot tell people something is normal while being, like, while legally not recognizing it as normal. You can't just, that is like, uh, just painting over it, like, or putting a band-aid. Like, you can't say being gay, lesbian, bi, pan are all normal while your law says they can't get married. And, like, so marriage equality has to come first. And once that comes in, then people will start asking each other questions, children will ask questions, and then parents will have to educate them. And then, like, I feel like that's the starting point. Like, you can't legally say something is wrong and then, like, expect the society to accept it as right. Like,
And so, but to some extent, I think, IPC 377 being read down, basically being big people
no,
that,
because now there is that Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, which, like, does not even recognize
yeah,
male rape.
yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
that just got worse, actually.
no. Actually, you took the words out of my mouth. I was just going to say it. In fact, I have renamed it as the Bharatiya Anyay Samhita. I completely. But I think for that period that it was there, or in fact, even the NASA judgment, and which, if people have not read the fine print over there, the NASA judgment is actually very overarching. It is not only for binary trans people, it is for everybody, because most important, it has legitimized the fact that there is, and actually given a right to self determination of gender identity, right?
Mhm.
So not just vital, I think it should be fundamental, like you said. Yeah. And yeah, I think now, in the context of IPC being not even revamped, it's been completely replaced. We know that, so slowly but surely, not that with 377 being read down was a big thing for us, because the phobia and all continued. In some cases it was increased. Yeah. And maybe to some extent, and the TG Act we know was very diluted from the original Shiva bill and all that. Yet, I think the NASA judgment, the TG Act, and now, as you say, if we get marriage equality, whatever our individual views on marriage may be, whether we have it or not, I think, because the thing is that, as you say, the more things remain heteronormative, right? It's a problem for everybody, you know, because even if somebody says, I am cis queer, for example, the fact that you're queer overarches everything, because especially people who don't bother or don't want to understand who or what a queer person is will not even know, will not even bother whether they're cis or trans or all that, right? Because all of us are bracket. In fact, today, when I posted this, and friends, of course, these are all very affirmative allies and all that, but who say, I only know this much, I'm still trying to learn and stuff. They ping me back, like, and sometimes in groups, which I think was even more important. What is pansexuality? Then, of course, none of these are like quick few words you can, because so many things have evolved. And then I had to also say, well, there's pansexuality, but in the P also means panromanticism and panromantic. Yeah, you know, right. Thank you, Tai, for saying that. Yeah. And I feel other even within the field of gender affirming care, because healthcare continually, yes, use binary gendered language. Yeah, yeah, and don't explicitly acknowledge my needs. Right, right, right.
So, when now that they have brought it up, I want to also say, like, hospitals are designed in terms of male wards and female wards. For
Yeah.
example, male queues, female queues, male dressing rooms, female dressing rooms. And in India, it's just like it's so structural, like accommodating queer people means you have to just like break down the whole system and then rebuild it from scratch. And you know, like all of it, every single thing, it's like a left-handed person navigating a right-handed world.
Right.
Like every single thing is like designed for right-handed people, and then somehow we're just like struggling. And that's how it probably feels like, as a neurodiverse person navigating the world designed for neurotypicals. It's a world designed for one type of person who is cis, het, white, or white equivalent in the
South Asian
system.
or Southern.
Yeah, or on top of the caste hierarchy and neurotypical. And in that world, we are all like, and a lot of us, like 90% of us, are excluded from this system, and all of us are just trying to navigate our way through this thing that is not even designed for us. So maybe we should have a lot more self love and empathy, kind of, because, like, I mean, it's meant to be more difficult for us.
Oh, right. Yeah. I'm glad you used that, right and left hand kind of thing. Because, yeah, for us, it is navigation, it is survival. I mean, someone asked me for a few months ago or last year, I don't recall. And that was when I started getting bracketed as an elder queer. Yes, we have our issues, but they were like, what brings you queer joy? Or, yes, we have to say queer joy, because many times we do not have that joy, right? And yeah, that's what. And we don't have basic joy only, basic joy. So I was like, if a queer person anywhere in this world, is able to survive one day to the other, right? Just survive, you know. I'm not even going as far as the violence discrimination, yeah, because for many of us, survival itself, on a day, on a regular basis, on a daily basis, is so difficult. Okay, that's what I said. Now, when I became a peer counselor, so many things which I presumed, like, the privileged queers, oh my gosh, even they are not having it easy. Okay, because the flip side of that presumed privilege is brings in that, oh, why are you not married? Why are you not having kids? I mean, like, how will they go on and on and on? And finally, what is happening? They are all doing this. Okay, so just because they have somebody has financial stability, yes, I know in a country with largely socio-economically backward people, having financial stability is a privilege. There is so much of other things which will be undoing that. Like, I mean, yeah. So that's the tragedy that all the time hiding and pretending. And then once it's like that volcanic outburst, sometimes even if they are taking some, anti-depression pills and taking therapy, some days they just cannot take it. It just can, just like, and yeah, and uh, that's the sad part. It's not a tragic part, as I said. It also angers me, and uh, that's the thing, right? That this whole, why should it be that we have to struggle, and that too, what is not even recognized as. It's not that we want somebody to say, "Oh my gosh, so sad." We don't want pity or something, na empathy. Left alone, my gosh, we will figure out things. Why is it always about figuring out, navigating? You know,
Yeah. I like that you pointed out something when you said queer joy. I don't think I have ever felt it in my life. I feel like when I see acceptance, it's a lot like denial. Like, okay, I'm just going to say I accept you, and then I'm going to deny everything queer about you or just refuse to see it, which is just one part. The other thing would be like acceptance with fetishization, which is like which can look very similar to celebrating your queerness. It would be like, I accept you now, like whatever, but it would more be about like, how are you interesting to me sexually. It can really look a lot like acceptance, but it isn't. So there's that. So I just don't know whether at any point in my life I have ever felt queer joy. Maybe I just really hope someday I do get to. It's a weird, like, sort of, I feel like this. So I know the kind of subtle discrimination I go through. So whenever I see a queer person, I just have this whole mother hen feeling na, to like, I just want to protect you from the world. Like, you tell me you're queer now, I'm just going to like, I just want to like hold you, put you in a safe space where like, the world can't hurt you, something like that.
yeah,
Like, there are times I just want to give like, people, queer people a hug and be like,
yeah,
I hope you have a good life. I don't know you, but I hope you have a good life.
yeah.
Something
I
like
remember, like, there have been times when, I just go up to a person and say, queer hello, queer hugs, even without
that.
maybe physically they're away, so I can only say, but I think we get it. I say, no, nowadays I get, for the last few years, I think I've been getting online queer vibes even from people who I don't, like, even if I see them virtually, somewhere I will know that, there's queer. And it's like, say, supposing someone's not revealed. I feel like telling them, boss, I get it. Okay, why you're not, and I feel you as I feel like going and telling them, but then sometimes they won't be in a space where, and somebody else who's there, who's going to be shocked, they're going to be doubly shocked, will be like, oh, I didn't know you are queer. I didn't, how do you know they will, and the whole damn conversation, the whole everything will just go in every way other than what you wanted it to be or not wanted. You didn't even want it, right? So we have to be so like, not just careful, as if say now, sometimes we have to be overprotective of our community, because because there's so much. And then another, I might go on for another 10-15 minutes. Do you have time? I don't want to
So,
take a sip of water or anything. Please go ahead. Okay. Right. Thing is that, you know um, now coming to that, what do you call, elephant in the room. We know that the National Medical Commission, couple of months ago, did this. They were trying to undo all the little bit of affirmation that is there in the syllabus,
curriculum.
especially for MBBS, MD. But then they said it is quite possible it will affect even nursing and anybody who's doing it, because there are certain basic courses which everybody studies. Okay, physiotherapy, whatever. Okay, now there's also the thing, and this is by doctors who are very very staunch allies, and who are, in a way marginalized in other ways. So So they have, I think Ati has been one of the people who have filed already petitions. And, there was this Ministry of Health and Family Welfare put out this notice, oh, this is going to be suspended. But there's still people saying, including students themselves, saying that no, already the curriculum seems to be changed, or somewhere, whatever little affirmativity we've seen seems to be going. But you said whatever the curriculum is, okay. Uh, yes, not to blame, but to the healthcare professionals, I'm sorry, among the healthcare professionals, the you know also matters or not. I'm not asking you to answer for everybody, but in your experience as a student, as a practitioner, okay, um, do you see that to some extent the internalized bias, okay, wherever it comes from, you think that can also, sort of surpass whatever affirmative studies, training they go? Because many times they go for CME also, right? It's not just about what they've studied like maybe 10 years ago, 18 years ago, or 5 years ago, right? You think even if it's a fair question, but if you don't want to answer, you don't have to.
No, I completely agree. And I think internal biases do go stronger than whatever you're teaching people. And which is exactly why internal biases need to be challenged from when kids are kids. Like I was looking through this therapist who has two sons, and he was trying to raise his sons as feminists. And he was like, see, I taught them so much, and then I put them in school. And then just 1 year of school seemed to have undone so much of what I have taught, because they're learning like these cultural messages outside. Like, and boys, and how strong patriarchy is requires boys to perform gender in this very narrow way. And which means that a girl wearing a typically mask looking outfit will not get dress coded as much as a boy who's wearing a
Uh,
skirt. Immediately everybody is uncomfortable, people are like, change, people are like, what are you doing, you know. And there are studies which say that boys get feedback about how they perform gender so much more often than women. So, like, a boy wearing pink, immediately people are like pissed off. They're telling them and giving these unconscious cultural messages, right? And if you see, the whole cis heteronormativity is being held up by um, men who are cis men who are educated this way, with other cis men policing what gender must look like for them and how they must perform gender. And then eventually, it just trickles down onto all of us queer people. And so internal bias is definitely very, very, very strong. And no matter how people learn and they try to be better, once it gets into their hearts that being queer is something that's, not normal, broken, all of that, then it's difficult to really get them out of it, I feel. Um, so, so I would say, I don't know, like in a way, like for example, I don't want to have a kid, but then if I ever have a child, like I don't know how I would, subject them to the correct messaging. Especially, for example, I live in a joint family. Like I might be able to teach my kid all whatever I want, and then like people in my own family will undo that with their other whatever messaging that they will be giving the child. So then that is just a family is just a microcosm, right? Like then of the society as a whole. Then you're very scared that like this child is going to go out into school and learn more things and whatever. For example, as a queer doctor, I didn't have the guts to come out in college. Imagine a queer person living in a highly patriarchal men's hostel. How would they come out? What would be consequences for them? Like, so while even, okay, so you make them perform gender or masculinity in such a rigid way in their hostel, then you put them in a CME and teach them being gay is okay.
Mm.
Like, how is that going to change anything? They know the minute they come back into hostel, gay is used as an insult.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And thank you so much for just, hitting the nail on the head. Because I have heard this, I think, a few months back, we had a conversation with a trans woman who's I mean, Hijra, let me say, okay, trans woman is very broad and not very suitable to our context, right? She's a physician and she's doing her MS in orthopedic. So she was taken in Hyderabad. Uh, yeah, one is of course, how she said her patients and some of the junior or the people who are considered as not allied, what paramedics were not nurses, because nurses are so important and senior. Saying something more like the technician, those kind of people seemed more accepting of her, or they were like, I mean, you are a doctor and that's what matters to us. We're here, you please treat us, whatever. And sometimes, if they are listening, but they'll be in so much pain or, such a hurry, or the caregivers, they wouldn't care whether they knew or not what her gender is, or they were wondering or something. And she said that unfortunately, the more senior the physician or surgeon, or many times they are also professors or whatever, and whatever the faculty, and they were like that, and from peers, it's not even just phobia, it is not just discrimination, it's downright derogatory behavior, insults. She says, and then she says that sometimes they do it behind her back, thinking that she doesn't know, or thinking they're doing a favor. And that is equally like, you want to insult me on my face. I mean, have that much guts. I'm not saying that that's easier. And then this whole thing of, oh my gosh, you think that suppressing our identities, our privilege? No, it is not. You don't know how much pain we go through because of that. And, uh, actually, the fact that we need to suppress our identity itself is, a statement on how terrible our environment is. The human environment. It's forget about humanity. It's so inhuman, right? I mean, as if being human is so difficult. Where do we expect them to be humane?
But yeah, so definitely a great point. And a lot of people suppress their identity to survive, which you just have to accept them for it. Like, I mean, their lives have been difficult, but there's this one thing that, like, as a cis woman who needs to um, conform to beauty standards, for example, like, if you see, I would go to the gym, and like sometimes, most of the times, I don't remove body hair. It's just not a thing that I like doing. So I'll go to the gym, and then like most women will come and tell me, okay, you should shave, something like that. And then I'd be like, no, I don't want to, and that's completely all right. But the thing is that all of these women at some point in their lives have thought what a hassle it is to remove body hair. I wish I didn't have to do it. But then, while we all say, I want to accept my body for how it is, none of us are doing it. And that is perpetuating that cycle, right? Like, every single woman who is like clean shaven has probably thought, I wish I didn't have to do it. But then they did not actually decide to just be
Mm,
that. If
mm,
they had, then at least the next gen will have like a group of people they can look up to who are not following beauty standards and think, okay, like, being this way is also all right. All of us who are thinking, oh, this is oppressive, this is suppressive, are still doing it. Na? That is the issue. Like, all of us have our reasons, but I just really wish that, like, a large enough group decide to just say fuck it and be themselves, so that a lot more people will have the guts to do that. Yeah.
right. Oh my gosh, that is such an important point, and thank you for saying it in such a lucid and candid manner, right? I mean, like, oh my gosh, and then now I just suddenly recalling about how, like, at one time, I mean, just talking about even cishet women, I know they also go through a lot of nonsense, and because they expect it to be a certain way, and on the other side, teachers used to be told. First, it was often teachers, okay, and a teacher means often it has to be a woman only, who has to be patient, who has to be strict, also has to be this and that. Don't dress up. I mean, give me a break, okay? Oh, you come only for this. There's also this whole thing about no working women. We know you're going there only because you want to do time pass to earn and then spend on yourself. You're being selfish. I mean, give me a break. Many times people go because they need to support the thing, or an extra income is required. Okay, I mean, I'm talking about, say, various generations. Every generation is there. Okay, or because we don't know, right? Who knows? Some emergency may come, so it's always good to have, right? So all that, na. So now, all right, and then I've been told, or I've heard that doctors also used to be told, like, and even now apparently they're like, you can wear this, not wear that, and then those kind of things, and often, which is why I think sometimes I used to be like, oh, the teachers are imposing this on us. Don't wear bangles. I mean, for example, yeah, that's the simplest thing, like, because at that time I didn't know. I'm not saying whether even now I wear, because again, me being queer and gender fluid, but wearing something or not wearing something is my choice, my pleasure, my mood, whatever, right? It's not that I'm trying to adhere to anybody else's standards, okay? Yes, my standard is to not have a standard. Okay, that's fortunate, right? So it's like, I will decide. I mean, even if I'm only 6, I know what will obstruct me from writing so-called neatly, or a few years later work in the some lab, or type away at my computer. Okay, and if that is not going to damage any school or college property or something like that, what I wear or how I dress should not be anybody else's problem, because if some damn person is going to get distracted by that, it's their bloody problem. Okay, you know and I'm sure many of those people enjoy those distractions. Again, I'm not here to distract or to attract somebody or be this thing, but if I am, because that is me as a human being, sometimes, as they say na, प्यार कभी हो जाता है or something. I mean, love just happens many times. Love, romance, whatever. And why is it love? It's not just about love between two humans, right? I mean, you can start loving a street animal. For somebody that might seem dirty for you. I don't know. It might, like, what? Who is somebody? And for that, whether I'm educated or not is the thing. It's my sense of being attracted to another living being, whether that one is dirty or clean, harmful or not. Yeah, Taiwan. That is so important, because that's a thing, right? And just to tell people, by the way, the very famous, or say notorious representation of diversity in sexuality in these Khajuraho, like, architecture, I think, which is, like, I think hundreds of years old, maybe millennia, I don't even know, in a part of India, that apparently showed sexual acts between even two living beings. One of them was human, the other one was not human. Okay, yeah. So, but that is for them, whether again it was fantasy or reality, that's the, but which is why apparently into 377, when that colonial law was being formed, it said, what even now when it was read down, no, it's a different thing, but it's like what, that is why they call it reading down and not revocation, because they say it decriminalizes uh, uh, acts of uh, sexual acts between two consulting adults against the order of nature, but that adults should be two human beings. It cannot be with animals. I mean, oh my gosh. where do people come up with this kind of imagination? I mean, I don't think whatever somebody, which is why we call something as fiction or fantasy, right? About some relationship between a human and another living being. Okay, if two humans can have whatever relationship they want in a mutually respectful, consenting manner, that's all we should care about. Yeah,
Yeah, so um, this is again something that people call the slippery slope
right.
hypothesis, which means like what people start saying is, as if we allow same sex relationships, then next what will happen, what will they ask for, like that kind of thing. And then they will push it to the limit by saying, then what do we allow next, like sex with animals, then what will we allow next, something like that. And then they use that as a way to somehow discredit queerness by saying that, if you start allowing one thing that's against nature, then you'll have to start allowing all that, like that's just like really stupid in terms of how being queer is based off of consent. All sex is based off of consent. Even heterosexual sex must involve consent, with two consenting adults of appropriate age. So that is the basis of everything. All sex should involve consent, and then there is people who cannot consent, which is underage people, animals, all of that. So obviously we are not talking about that, right? Like when we say queer relationships or we talk about sexuality, it is understood and implied that it is between two consenting adults of um, an age where they can consent. So if people say stuff like we are allowing against nature things like same sex relationships, then what next? Will we allow pedophilia? Then that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like that just like tells me that you don't understand what the baseline requirement for any sexuality is, which is consent.
Yeah, yeah, true, true. Fantastic, yeah. And this whole thing about nature, normal. Oh my gosh, how much that it is. But the same time, when somebody commits a rape or, sexual assault, that is not damn abnormalized, right? I mean, what queer people do with themselves, their bodies. I mean, as long as it's not self harm, okay, or with two other or one other person is their complete right, problem, choice, whatever, okay. Not self harm and not harming someone else. Sorry, I meant both. Any harm to anybody, okay. You know, nobody has any right to literally get in between them and say, this is natural, this is normal, and this is not. Because, using this, I mean, like, not given the name, I always say, what is normal to you is abnormal to me. I it, you say it, okay? Because I have enough to do of my own. Even if I didn't have, I will not be bothering about if somebody is normal or abnormal or natural or unnatural. So I may be abnormal to you, but you may be abnormal to me is not what you seem to be considering, right? Just because I'm not telling you that. Because, I mean, I have better things to do than to abnormalize somebody or something, or to call someone or something unnatural, unless probably, it's raining out of the blue when we do not expect it to or something. Even then, we work around it, right? We don't keep on sitting and cursing the thing, right? So, this whole thing about, which is why I was wanting to talk about depathologization again, that the thing is that what is it that makes people, I think it's the normal and abnormal, the natural and unnatural is just a starting point, you know um especially in a country like India, Nes, okay. um when obviously everything about services, especially affirmative services, is so disproportionately available, right? So even in whatever size of the hospital, whichever, of course that matters. Of course it matters that, whether you are in Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, or Coimbatore, or Mysore, whichever, versus whether, you are in, say, Aizawl or somewhere else. Okay. But, to see someone just because of their gender or queerness as not even just as I said, no, abnormal, unnatural, but as a patient, as something wrong with them, okay, as having a disease or a disorder. Again, this is, I think, a combination of insufficient, health or healthcare education, plus also, I think, misinformation, biases, right? Is it fair?
See, there is a lot of science that proves that queerness is normal and why queerness exists. For example, there are brain MRI studies, there is natural diversity found in animals, there is lots of even human studies. But unfortunately, like human beings do not operate based on facts. Like when Galileo said the earth revolved around the sun, he was put in house arrest till he died. So there's a lot of other institutions, for example, religion being one, which tries really hard to uphold heteronormativity. Like, for example, like historically, people who have been queer have hidden their queer identity.
True.
Everybody you think is straight is not straight,
Yeah.
even today. So, for millions of years, also, that has been the case. So, how much suppression, oppression, harm, violence, and erasure of history has been done to maintain this false um, status quo of normal?
Right.
So this so we need to look at that, right? Like whose story is not being told, who has not been given a voice, whose story has been misquoted, who has been, straight washed, like and that's how we like when we think about it, the world has been historically queer and we just don't talk about it. And then um you people erase books, people burn books, people ban books, and then you say that okay, heterosexuality and being cisgender is the actual normal, because I'm not going to let you read about anything that deviates from that worldview, which might just challenge your idea of what is normal. This fake sense of what is normal has been systematically manufactured and peddled to people by, I don't know, systems like religion and caste and all these oppressive structures which need, people to be in heterosexual pairings and to have children to propagate. Like, how is caste maintained? By making people marry within the caste. How is religion maintained? By making people marry within religion. And why is it important to have heterosexual pairings? Because they'll have children who will then be used for free labor and who will go to fight in wars and who will be maintaining households. So it's all this whole capitalism and casteism and religion and colonialism and patriarchy and all that general way they interact with each other that is maintaining this one false narrative of normal, while there are alternative narratives which are squashed and, I guess, um, not talked about, and in some countries even prevented from being talked about by banning books and banning movies and banning people from talking about it. So when people say something about normal, you just wonder like how much blood has been shed to paint this reality as the singular normal one.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. And beautiful. Yeah, I like the straight washing part. That's true. Yeah, and also about, like, we know that there's never one history, one thing, or it happened only in one way. But there's convenient misinterpretation, and also like whose history is written by whom and in what,
Mm.
right? So obviously, we queer people, we I think organically want diversity or somewhere, right? Because we know we are different from the, whereas somebody else wants to maintain that, not just the hierarchy, the homogenization. They want to, and then further take it like, to what they call homo nationalism, right? Which is what partly also Israel does, because like there are like cures for Palestine and those kind of things, right? And then they'll be like, oh, you don't know. I mean, you're talking about, Islamic culture. How queerphobic is it? It is like, but their projection, and apparently they were not just memes, pictures, and, like social media posts released where again there was only one kind of queer, and homo nationalism. And then I've heard from people, this kind of relates with, why some skin colored people like to tan themselves. Similarly, especially, I mean, being ace, I've heard this from, uh, aces who are of a particular skin color, or something sensual, sexual. So there they are deliberately sexualized. Okay, then there are people, especially this happens with people with visible disabilities. They may be sexual beings, but they are deliberately desexualized,
Yes,
then
yes,
there's
yes.
unnecessary conflation between asexuality and desexualization. Oh my gosh. And then, as you say, pansexual people. Oh, you don't have enough of this. You want I mean, like, what even is that, right? So in everything, they find a problem except with themselves. And that's because we are so busy trying to, as you say, just navigate and, just survive. We can't be others. We can easily point out what million, like, 10 wrong things about, or 10 unnecessary things about straight people, right? It's just that we don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah. So, yeah. Uh, Yeah,
I just wanted to close this with
yeah,
something funny.
I'm going to
Like,
close it. Yeah.
I just wanted to say something very funny that happened recently. Like, somebody was talking to me and they were mentioning something about something they liked, something they didn't like, or whatever. And then I was just saying, oh, but you're very straight, right? So it just kind of like makes sense that you wouldn't like that something. And then that person was taken aback and then they said, मैं जो भी हूँ ठीक ही हूँ. And that is mostly my feeling, right? Usually I'm like, whatever I am, I'm fine. Like, it's a very defensive thing. And I'm like, what kind of queer achievement is it to make a straight person feel bad about being straight? Whatever it is, I have just reached that. And I'm like, I laughed so much at myself ki I have reached some level of queerness where I can make a straight person feel bad about being straight. So that's
Oh
like
my
a win
gosh,
in
you're
my book.
spreading queer joy, that's what I. And then also very grateful, just wanted to acknowledge, apart from all the people who've joined, and of course, extra special thanks to you, Nez. I'm sure, you all have very hard, long run days, and, being in internal medicine or any kind of healthcare, always there's this emergency. You don't have time and mind space, because as a human there's only so much you can handle, right? And suddenly you're going to be available and functioning and everything, right? And that's why it's so important to spread this queer joy, which there's very little of. And we hope, you and everybody else who watches, listens, shares this, please comment, DM us. And also to our collaborators, one of them who's having mental health issues regularly, a young queer student in Hyderabad. They are one of the co-founders of Life Gets Beautiful Today. What a lovely, adage that is. And their other friend who's from Maharashtra, uh, they are the collaborators, and then there is also this very silent in their activities, but very, very vital activities they're doing in Vizag, but they also work in smaller towns of Andhra. A few people who have come from various backgrounds and a voluntary this thing called Nestam Sojies. They support, they're doing this very tough but very vital thing of talking and discussing sexuality with teenagers in regular schools. Yeah, because as much as we understand people who discontinue, dropped out, or never seek institutionalized education, even these institutions are extremely suppressive, extremely heteronormative. Like, why do you want to talk? And two, three of these people are not even trained teachers. They've come from IT and other arts backgrounds and stuff. And but they are also queer people themselves who have been navigating their lives. And so yeah, so thanks again to everybody, and again, queer gratitude if there's something like that, to you, Nez. Okay, let's keep this going. And we will. Yeah, you want to say something? Just wanted to ask. Yeah. Okay. So, love you all the best. Take care, be well, and as we said again, feel free to DM us or comment, as you like, whenever. Okay, yeah. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Bye bye. So, I will be posting this video and tagging you. Okay.